So St. Anthony is an extremely popular saint. We all know who he is, and I know that I have occasionally called upon his intercession when I can't find something. Anthony is the one who helps us find our lost objects. So it might be good for us to kind of find out who this man was. He has an interesting life. When a bishop, even our own day, takes a man who is applying for the seminary, when the bishop will accept that man to go into the seminary, there's no guarantee that he will successfully complete it. Purposefully, even in our own day, the formation period for a man in the seminary is minimum 6 years, usually more than often 8 years. Sometimes it will go to 10 or 12 years in the seminary. And that long period of time is done on purpose. It's to supervise the man, watch the man, train him, educate him, form him, evaluate him, and test him. Sometimes, though, in all of that time and all of that evaluation, men will leave, usually for very good purposes. Well, when Anthony went into the seminary as a young man, he excelled in his studies, in the formation. He was at the top of the class. All the formators spoke very well of him. One of his supervisors was one of the most prominent scholars in Europe at the time. And Anthony soaked up all of the teachings like a dry sponge. He did exceptionally well. And all of his superiors and evaluators thought that this was a very promising candidate for the priesthood. But then all of a sudden, out of the clear blue sky, he left the seminary. It happens. And he left it midstream. And I know personally the disappointment that causes. All of the investment is lost. All of the hope and the promise is lost for the local church. But the good news is that Anthony didn't leave everything behind. He came upon a curious group at the time, a group of men who were homeless, basically. They wandered the streets from city to city in Italy, and they were unkept. The men were barefooted, and they were exceedingly poor. And Anthony followed them because he was mesmerized by their leader. And the leader of the group was St. Francis of Assisi. All that he did was he followed them for a while. He wanted to find out what these men were about. He didn't preach. He just didn't do anything. He just wandered with them, the eremitical life, barefooted. Until, that is, he volunteered to preach one day out of the clear blue sky. And what was revealed was a brilliant mind and a winning style. And he was so brilliant that when St. Francis of Assisi died, St. Anthony, the one who helps us find lost objects, he succeeded Francis as the head of the Franciscan movement. And he was chosen by his brothers. So you see, Anthony does more for us than just find our lost keys. He tells us that our Lord has plans for us and plans for his church, even when the plans don't seem to work out right. Remember, he left the seminary, and today he is one among the greatest saints of our church.